Hi everyone, this is part one of graphing. This is going to go over how to use Google Sheets to figure out your averages as well as your scale. Okay, so let's begin. The first thing you need to do if you haven't is watch this split screen tutorial so that you know how to use the split screen because I'm going to be using split screen. All right, so let's do that. So in the split screen, open up a Google Sheet. Doesn't matter what you name it, but if you do it right, this is something you can use over and over. So I'll just put data table / scaling. All right. Now, first thing I'm going to do is just look at our data table over here. So I have ball drop height in centimeters versus the ball bounce height in centimeters. I'm going to ignore the ball drop height for now and just copy my data table as I see it. So up front, it seems like it's a little bit of work, but once you get this set, you can just keep using it over and over, and you'll just need to change the numbers each time. And so it's a little bit more upfront, but in the long run, it'll save you time. All right, so now I have my data table copied from my lab. So I'm gonna give myself some space just because my eyes don't do a good job with lots of numbers close together. And then we're going to write a formula. And so we're going to find the average of this row of numbers because this is one trial from, these are the 3 trials from the 1 drop height. Okay. And the reason we're doing an average is because our way of measuring was not the greatest. And so we're trying to get rid of any big variations. All right. So first I'm going to hit equals. Then I'm going to open parentheses, which is Shift 9. And then I'm going to click this 15, which is in cell A1. And you see the little A1 pop there, and it also tells you the number. Then I'm going to hit plus, which is Shift equals. Then I'm going to hit B1. And then I'm going to hit plus again. And I'm going to hit C1. And if you see, it's already doing the math for you. And so it's adding up the numbers that are in those cells. Okay. And now I'm going to close parentheses. Remember, PEMDAS. So by closing the parentheses, we're telling the computer, do this sum first before you do other things, okay? Because when we find an average, we need to get the sum of our numbers and then divide it by the number of numbers we are adding together. So in this case, we've just added together 3 numbers. So we're going to divide, which is slash, by 3. And then we're going to hit enter. And it's going to give me my average. So the average of these numbers is 15.7. If your sheet comes up with a lot of decimal places, you can go to this little selection that says decrease decimal and just keep pressing until you get only 1 decimal spot. Okay. Now, this is where things get easy. We don't have to type that each time. Once we've typed that formula, right, A1, B1, C1 divided by 3, we can go to this little blue square and you'll get a plus, or if you're on a Chromebook, it looks like a little bullseye. There's a little gray circle around it, but you're going to click that blue square in the corner. You're going to hold it, and then you're going to scroll down with one finger until you see those dotted lines. And when you get all your data selected, well, as long as it's as far down as it needs to be, then you let go, and it's found all of the averages for you, which is very useful. So you can copy this and paste it into your data table, but that just makes it a string of numbers. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to copy, Control C, and I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to paste, Control V, right? It just gave you a string of numbers, but since you know you only have 1 spot over the decimal, you can just kind of separate them. The danger with this is it's kind of hard to get them exactly where you want, but it's good enough, okay? So now I found my averages for those, for my data, and I can just keep using this for the rest of the time I'm collecting information, right? Let's say that you do a lab and you only collect 2 pieces of data, right? You can just go back and you put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And as you can see, the average automatically fixes itself, okay? Which is very useful. I'm gonna Control Z, undo those, okay? All right. Now, to find our scale for our graph, we're going to go look at our graph paper. And first you need to know how many lines you have on the x-axis and how many lines you have on the y. I'm just going to write notes in my spreadsheet because I don't want to forget. And so I've counted before this. So my x-axis has 35 lines and my y-axis has 44 lines. Okay. Now to find your scale, you need to know your highest data point as well as your number of lines available. And then you got to divide them. And so for my x-axis, my independent variable, my highest data point is 100. So I'm going to write another formula over here. I'm going to hit equals 100 because that's my largest data point there, and I'm going to divide it by the number of lines I have to work with, which is 35, and I'm going to hit enter, and it gives me that number, 2.85, and I'm like, what does that mean? What that tells you is when you go to do your numbers, if you went by 2.85 each time, it would be able to spread out from that line all the way to that line. You wouldn't waste any space. However, since we're doing this by hand, 2.85 is not very useful. It's going to be a little hard to use. And so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to round up to the next whole number. And so the next whole number after 2 point whatever is 3. So I'm going to hit 3. So what that means is I'm going to count by 3s. So I'm going to have 3, and then I'm going to count by 3s. The next one is 6. Now you can do this in your head, 3, 6, 9, blah, blah, blah. But we have computers. So we're going to work smarter, not harder. So now that I've started this pattern of going by 3s, I'm going to select these 2 until they're both highlighted. And then once again, I'm going to use the awesome click and drag feature. So I'm going to go to the blue square, get my plus, and I'm going to click it and drag it down to about, well, I have 35 lines. I'm starting at 10, so like, I don't know, 40, 44. Okay, and so what that has done is it's copied and done all the counting by 3s up to 105. I don't need to go that high. I'm going to ignore 102 and 105 because I only need to get to 100. So you can copy this and just paste it. However, that makes things a little too grouped together and it becomes hard to see. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and delete every other line. Now that I have every other line deleted, I'm going to click on the 3 cell. I'm going to scroll down. Then I'm going to hold shift and click on the 99. Boom. And that's selected that space for me. Then I'm going to Control C to copy. Go back over to here. Start at 0 in the corner. Let's make this bigger. See, I've got old eyes, man. Getting old. I'm squinting like an old grandma, grandpa. All right, and then I'm going to Control V, and it gave me a large string of numbers. Referencing what I've done on the sheet, I know that each line is going to be worth 3. So 3, I'm going to skip a line, right? Just like I skipped, I'm going to pretend the 6 is there, and then go to 9. Then I'm going to skip a line, go to 15, skip a line, go to 21, skip a line. I think you get the idea, right? I'll just do this. And so this way, my scale is by 3s the whole way. And this is based on the math I did, the best possible use of this space with my numbers, doing it by hand. Okay. All right, and so now I have my scale. My interval is also pretty good, right? Everything is on a line. If you find it helps, you can go to the Shapes tool, click on Insert Line, and you can put a little dash each time to show that the number is on that line. It's up to you. If there's some other way you want to do things, that's okay too. And we're going to do the same thing for the y-axis. And so on the y-axis, my highest data point is 81. And I know that I have 44 lines to work with. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to hit equals 81 divided by 44. And that's going to give me 1.84. So once again, the next highest whole number is 2. And so I'm going to go by 2s, right? 2, 4. I'm going to click. I'm going to highlight both these cells, click and drag it down. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Counting by 2s is kind of easy, but now I'm going to do this in a slightly different way because I don't want to copy it this time. I'm just going to do it in my head. So I'm going to go back over to here. I already have my 0, so I don't have to write my 0 again. I'm going to start here. And so if I just start typing, it goes that way, which we don't want. So I'm going to go up to the toolbar, select that, and then I'm going to start. Now I know that each one's worth 2, but I'm also kind of lazy, and so I'm going to just make a couple assumptions. So if this first line is 2, I'm just going to go past it. And then that one's 4, 6, 8, 10. And so I'm going to go by 2s, but only write at the 10s because I don't want to type too many numbers, all right? And so then 2, which is 12, 4, 6, 8, 10. In this case, it's 20. 2, 4, 6, 8, 30. 2, 4, 6, 8, 40. You get the idea, okay? Now, I forgot to do some things that you should do right away. I need to label my graph. So I'm just going to click 3 times really fast, select everything, Control C, Control V here, Control V, bring that down there. 1, 2, 3, Control C, Control V, Control V, use this tool, turn it. Okay, that's it for setting up the graph. If you watch part 2, I will show you how to put the graph points in places. Okay, all right, thanks for your time.